Welcome to the Creators Network. I'm Pablo, and this is the show where I sit down with entrepreneurs, innovators, and thought leaders to talk about what they're building, the challenges they face, the lessons they've learned along the way. If you're someone who loves ideas, businesses, and the stories behind success, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Today I'm joined by the lovely SJ, who I've heard is the glue that holds a nonprofit, the RS Griffin Foundation, and the lovely studio that we're in right now. We're here to hear some of the lessons she's learned along the way. Hi, SJ.
Hello, Pablo.
Thank you for joining us today. So, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do and how you got to where you are now?
Sure. Hi, Pablo. Thanks for having me. It's good to be here. I would say that at my core, I think one thing I've held a lot of roles. I've done a lot of different things in my life. And one thing that I can say that I am is someone who is adventurous and positive, and I take that attitude with me everywhere I go. So to have ended up where I am today took a lot of just keeping a positive mindset and keeping this spirit of adventure that I have. That's kind of the tapestry that's woven throughout my life, basically. I would never have thought 5 years ago I'd be sitting here doing this. I definitely have always been someone who's very energetic, extroverted. I love meeting new people. I love building bridges. I love seeing a good plan come together. And I would say that this chapter of my life really started about 5 years ago when I became involved in the crypto community, and specifically the Richard Hart ecosystem, as they call it, which involves Pulse Chain, Hex. Hex.com was like the first crypto that I really got into and really started to understand what crypto was and how it worked. And I was so drawn to this because of the community. I have a huge heart for community. I've always thought that I would love to live in some kind of community-based system, right? Whether that's a co-op or a tiny house village, something like that, right? So to have seen that there was more depth to this crypto community than just this financial surface level thing really drew me in. And I learned more than I ever thought I would, and really just dove in. And that's me too. That's 100%. Like if I'm into something and I'm learning about it and I'm passionate about it, I am 110% passionate about it and into it. And there's no middle ground for me, usually. It's like all or nothing. So having connected with that community, and one of the coolest parts for me was finding out that within this crypto community, there was a sub-community of people who are into permaculture and agriculture and organic living. And that's something that I've been into for years. So I was just like, wow, so these people are here, they're helpful, I'm learning all this stuff. And then on top of that, there's all these little sub-communities within this, and it's something that I've always been, interested in and attracted to. So I just kept going down that rabbit hole, basically. I ended up starting to create my own content and just
about crypto.
More about the founder of the crypto, Richard Hart. He's written a couple books, and after I learned enough about the crypto that I felt like it was, for me, a solid investment, like I was willing to gamble these funds to get into this crypto, I thought, well, now that I've done this, and this might be backwards for some people, I thought, well, let me find out who this guy is. Who is this founder? What is he doing? And why are so many people interested in this and putting their money here? So found out about him, found out that he'd written a couple books. I ended up doing a audiobook version of both of his books, actually. And really it was a selfish endeavor. I thought, oh, I love audiobooks. And even just reading the first page of the book CIive that he wrote, I thought, I'm going to read this anyways. And it was around COVID time, so I had time. I had time and energy. And I thought, if I'm going to read this, why don't I just read it out loud? And I'll record it, and then there'll be an audiobook version of it for whoever, cares to listen to it. Unbeknownst to me at the time, how much of an impact Richard had already on the crypto world and how many people followed him and all of these things. Because I was just getting to know who he was.
Mm-hmm.
So did that, ended up being so well received, and just that really endeared me to the community. So I did it again. I actually went to an audio recording class and learned how to do ACX audio, which is Audible ready, and redid it more professionally because I thought, well, this is awesome. I still have more time, right? Still don't have much to do. So I went through and did that. And from that point on, I really just wanted to encourage people about how they could continue to be positive and continue to believe in what we were investing in because of who Richard is and because of what he talks about and because of his background and his persistence. Like, that's the number one thing, is his persistence. And that kind of became my role in the community.
Mm-hmm.
Is they call me the positivity princess, right? I don't really talk about price. I don't talk about charts. I don't talk about other projects for the most part. I just want to be out there and be a reminder to people that in my opinion, there's more to this than finances. There's more to this than just number go up and chart go up and down. And it's been, like I said, like 5 years ago, would not have thought I'd be someone who's doing content for a crypto community. And then to kind of bring us around to this point in time, there was, after COVID, I was doing just kind of odd jobs, things like that, and knew who Captain RG3 was in the crypto community. And I had done a couple small tasks for him, just, hey, like, is there anything I can help out with? And, how can I come alongside and assist? Because he'd been a staple in the community, doing things, helping people out for quite a while. And eventually, when I was done with all the audiobook work, I was like, hey, I'm looking for work. Like, I'd rather do this. I'd rather be a part of this community and somehow make a living, being part of this versus anything else that I can think of right now. So it worked out that at the time, he was thinking about putting on a tour to teach people about Pulse Chain and Hex crypto, and needed support with that. So for the next couple years after that, we did 3 years of a tour. So 2 different kind of U.S. tours, and then we went international.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been working alongside of him for 3 going on 4 years now, and have really got to know him as a person, as a leader, as a mentor, and to see the passion that he's had for all of this and for people and for the community, right? Like, we drive on that level for sure. And I've really been inspired by him to, at times, like, to continue on even and to do all this, because putting on a tour through a bear market when not many people, which a bear market means the numbers are down, right?
Mm-hmm.
So not many people have been really interested in it. And it could have been a lot more disheartening, but, we got to see people all over the world come together and connect. And even though it wasn't like selling out stadiums or anything like that, it was still community-based and community-driven. And you really get to see the heart of who the community is when you go through something like that. So he's very entrepreneurial, and I've heard him over time, especially in the last couple years, right? Because now we're looking at going on 4 or 5 years of this bear market, right? Mm-hmm. And people in crypto and people who, have most of their income in crypto, or most of their wealth is in crypto, it gets to a point where you're like, okay, well, I don't want to sell my crypto right now. It doesn't make sense to do that. So what else can I do to bring in income? So I heard him go over several business ideas, especially over the last year to 2 years. And, he'd kind of spitball these ideas. We'd go back and forth about things. We'd come up with maybe an idea or a thought or a logo, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it would just kind of not happen. Just other things came up and things were more important, and he was able to just do what he needed to do to get by. So Richard had put out a call to the community and had said, hey, if anyone has a nonprofit, there's a marketing project that I want to put out there in the world. I'm looking for people that have charities and nonprofits all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
Well, turned out that back in, I think it was 2021, RG had put together a nonprofit at the time. And it was he didn't really make it a very specific use nonprofit. It was just something he thought, hey, this is something I want to do. He's got a heart for charity in general.
Mm-hmm.
So he put that together. So Richard puts this call out, and turns out RG's like, well, hey, my mission statement is basically vague enough that we can take on this, whatever this is, right? Like, not knowing much at the time, just answering the call, like, hey, we have a charity, what's up? Like,
Yeah.
what do you want us to do?
Mm-hmm.
So he ended up, being the one to reach out, and that kind of started a whole snowball, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
of just like, we had no idea how much time, energy, effort, life changing kind of substance this nonprofit was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
We're thinking, oh, we'll just rent out a little bit of space here and probably do this like a few hours a week or something, and it has now become a 24/7 nearly
Mm-hmm.
everyday operation where we're working on marketing, we're getting these amazing tablets out to people all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
And it's changed and grown and shrunk and grown and become something different.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably that was, I think, one of the most challenging times
Mm-hmm.
of like, I guess my life, like feeling, firstly, having taken on this role and being more of a professional in general, and being alongside an entrepreneur, right? Like, you
Mm-hmm.
that kind of rubs off on you. And like, now I feel like I have more of an entrepreneurial mindset, and I've picked up all these skills, like, basically I'm like the CFO, like taking care of all these things and
Doing all the admin stuff.
yeah, doing the admin stuff, making sure the receipts are all taken care of.
Everything's compliant.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and going into like, I've done a lot of graphic design. I've used AI a whole ton, just trying to make sure that we're up to speed with like what needs to be like compliant, right?
I mean, because the goal of the nonprofit is education
Mhm.
on crypto.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get into the project because you believe and stood behind what Richard was saying as far as traditional finance? You had the same similar beliefs, or
Mm-hmm.
you were
Yeah.
in line with what he was trying to preach to the masses about? You can tell me a little bit about what is the message behind the kind of currency that he promotes.
Yeah. So that's a great question. So the real underlying theme and the cause that we're all kind of rooting for is DeFi. So decentralized finance,
Mm-hmm.
where there is no bank, there is no middleman in between me and what I'm doing with my finances. There's no bank hours, there's no fees. None of that exists when you do crypto right, which is what I feel that Richard Hart has done.
Mm-hmm.
Is that he sees that a lot of our systems are broken, and he's aiming to fix that. And in general, people had hoped that Bitcoin was going to do that.
Mm.
And the fact that it's no longer really for the people, because Bitcoin has been nearly taken over by a lot of financial institutions, right? And it's also just old technology, right?
Mhm.
It's antiquated, it's slow.
Mm.
It's not something that is user friendly, and that is crypto in general. Like, I will put that out there, but I think that newer tech, like what Richard has put out there, is already, there's so many more reasons why it would be simpler for people to utilize and to have as a currency, basically, day to day. So the heart of it is having control over my own finances,
Mm.
having the say as to when, where, how much of my money I can spend. I mean, you go to the bank, I was actually on a call with some women, and this woman that's in the UK said that she has a 400 euro a month limit
Oh, wow.
on how much she can pull out of this certain account before the
Interesting.
bank is like asking questions and saying she can't pull that much money out. And like they want to track every dollar. And even when you go to pull out larger sums, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're asking you, what's this for? What are you going to do with it?
Mm.
But it's none of your business. Like, this is my money,
Mhm.
you know?
Mhm.
So I just think that's appalling. I do. I don't think that I should have to answer to some third party about my finances and where they're going and what I'm doing with them. So
Mhm.
that's the underlying reason for having such passion about wanting to teach people about this and wanting to get that word out there. Like, you know, even if it's just something they're going to have around their house and maybe recognize those logos, those icons later on, it's just one extra touch, right? I think they say it's like 6 touches or something like that, where if you see something
Mhm.
in different ways, sticker on a pole, right? Like maybe a commercial, maybe, or an ad somewhere, you know, maybe a postcard that you get, right? That's seeing it over and over again is going to help you remember what this thing is and maybe be interested enough to look into it.
Yeah. So your name in the crypto community is Positivity Princess. Do you think you always had that outlook on life, or did you go through a lesson in life that kind of changed your view on, you know, how to look on like a bad situation and turn it into something positive? Or
I feel like I've been very fortunate to just have had this outlook my whole life.
really?
Yeah. In some cases, you would think, and I don't know that I would actually call it this, but you know, people say rose-colored glasses or like you have this Pollyanna view or whatever. I've been accused of that. Like people have thought that my positivity or my happiness is fake, but I just have that look at the silver lining and look on the bright side. I've just always had that mentality.
Mm-hmm.
I can I can think of a couple different times where I've been, for whatever reason, this memory is coming back to me right now. For several years in a row, as like a young adult, I would have a birthday party.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being at my birthday party and seeing all these other people like having fun at my birthday party, but like I would get sad for some strange reason.
Mm-hmm.
That's really like like one of the only times I can look back and think like, you know, that I was really sad about something. I also did go through depression when I was in junior high, and I went through my goth phase, and wearing all black, listening to sad music. But even then, it was never to the point where I felt like I didn't want to exist or that I didn't want to, you know, get up out of bed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that just having a sense of adventure and just that positivity that's been instilled in me has really helped just helped me continue on that path the
Mm-hmm.
entire time. Like if I was going through like, you know, the sadness or depression, it's always really fleeting for me. Like it doesn't last long. It's not something I dwell on. It's like, you know, a few moments. And as I've aged, it's gotten better and better, right? Like,
yeah.
I feel like I got all my sad out when I was an angsty teenager and was able to just, you know, move forward with a positive mindset through the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm. So the foundation, the education on crypto, that's an ongoing project. And now you're kind of doing something similar with the studio, so a podcast studio.
Mm-hmm.
So you agreed to take that on.
Yeah.
Why is that important to you?
You know, I feel like this is something that's going to be important for the next phase of my life. Like, I've always been a ham. Like, as a kid, like, I'll go back and watch old videos from when I was a kid, and I'm just loud and happy and in front of the camera anytime my parents were videotaping us as kids, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And this is the era before cell phones were everywhere, you know?
Yeah.
And I was, as a young kid, I did singing in, not like a church choir or anything, but it was like, I don't know, it was some kind of program that I did singing in, and then did singing again in junior high, and then did acting on and off through like high school. And for a good 10-year period, I kind of just forgot about all that. Like I just like lived a whole different kind of like life. And then maybe 10 years ago, I decided to audition for a commercial.
Oh.
And yeah, and because I was like, man, I always wanted to do that. I always wanted to do acting. So I auditioned thinking it was going to be something, because it was for a background gig. And I'm thinking there's going to be hundreds of people there. It's just all these, like, I'm a face in the sea of people in a crowd. And I think there were 3 other background artists that were chosen for that role. It was a Volkswagen commercial.
Oh, wow.
And we were walking like up and down on the street in Austin. And when in that moment, I thought, wow, I've got something, like to have been chosen out of hundreds of applicants, I'm sure, for these background gigs and commercials and stuff like that. Like it just felt like, oh, okay, like I might be able to actually do this, right? Like I got chosen. So I ended up getting an agent, and then going into doing background work. I did stand-in work and just small commercial roles. I actually told her that I didn't want to do anything. Like I was like, I don't want to be an actress. Like I don't want to be like on a TV series or in a movie, right? Like I'm not looking to, because I didn't want to be famous for that, if that makes sense, you know? Like I didn't want to go into that and have that be like the reason people know me or who I am. And I turned down commercials too because I didn't agree with I turned down a Budweiser commercial. I don't drink Budweiser. Like, I'm just not gonna, I'm not gonna affiliate myself. Taco Bell. I don't like Taco Bell. Sorry, Taco Bell. It's not sponsored. So I feel like I do have a gift of being someone who's not afraid to be in front of the camera, someone who's not afraid to share their opinions and their life and all of these sorts of things. So to now be a part of a place that allows for storytelling and encourages people to bring themselves, right? And put yourself in front. It's nerve-wracking for lots of people. It's very difficult for many people to get in front of a camera and know that they're being recorded, and and I've always been fine with it, right? It's never bothered me. I've never been nervous, right? Very, very rarely am I ever nervous in front of a camera or worried about what I'm going to say, how's this going to work out. So I think to be able now to be in a place where I can be encouraging to other people to do that, and I can, uplift other people and say, hey, your story is important too.
Right.
Like you should be doing this. You should be getting out there. And in part too, selfishly, right? Like I'd love to create my own content here. And I don't know what that looks like yet. I love what I've done with the crypto world for a while. And I love that I feel like I can just be myself and talk about whatever, but I don't know necessarily at this point right now, like, what is my brand? Like, who am I? Because I pour myself so willingly into other people's projects, right? Like, I've been a cheerleader for Pulse, Chain, and Hex. I've been a cheerleader for RG and what he's doing, and now it's like, okay, like, I feel like this is, like, I'm glad I get to be this cheerleader because this is definitely something that I get to cheer myself through, and I want to be a bigger part of this. But now what does that look like for me, right? How do I go from just being the supporting role to being the star and really harnessing that part of it?
Right.
Yeah.
Putting the light on you.
Yeah.
Right. Do you remember the most important book you've ever read?
I mean, there's like a few that kind of come to mind.
Something that's really inspired you.
It's Richard's book.
Richard's book? Is that CIive?
Yeah, it really has. I mean, in part because it's so, so fresh in my memory. Another great book that I think really helped me move forward as a woman and having more of an entrepreneurial mindset was You Are a Badass. And she's, I think it's Jen Shapiro, I think
Right,
is her name.
I have read that book.
Yeah, I mean,
It's a really good
I
book.
read that one, and then she did another one called You Are a Badass at Making Money. And those two books, I read those shortly before CIive. So it was kind of like I was already on that path of like self-help and, you know, like learning more about how to put yourself out there and put your energy and wisdom, you know, to work for you. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, knowing you for the little bit that I've had, I see that you're a very big advocate for women and money, and for people that maybe doesn't have an opportunity to be seen, and that's great. What do you think is your plan moving forward with the, maybe aside from the nonprofit that you're doing and the podcast, but like you said, for yourself, finding your brand and how to promote that? What do you think your next steps are?
So that's the question, right? That's really what I've been trying to figure out for myself, and even just having this conversation a little bit earlier, like as we were chatting before this show, I thought, you know, the fact that I have this personality and that I'm positive and that I've inspired people time and time again without trying and without knowing it.
Right.
So how do I take that and use it, right? If I didn't know I was inspiring people, how do I purposefully inspire people? How do I go forward and, you know, make content or do what I can do to do it on purpose and really uplift people and really
be intentional.
Yeah, exactly. Be intentional with it, because it's really, it warms my heart, and it gives me such a sense of purpose to know that just existing has been effective and has encouraged people. So if I can exist with more intention in that realm, that's really what I'm looking to do. And nailing that down, you know, it's going to be interesting trying to figure that out, because I've actually ChatGPT'd it a little bit, you know, like I kind of started digging into that, like what should I do? You know, I don't necessarily want it to be about finances or crypto. You know, that's something that I'm super passionate about, and I'm sure I'll touch on. But, you know, and I'm not, like, I enjoy astrology, I enjoy gardening, I enjoy all sorts of things, but I don't feel that I'm an expert on any of those. And I don't feel that I want to be a life coach. Like, that's not really necessarily what I'm interested in doing. So it's just a matter of figuring out, okay, like, what does being intentional with who I am and how to do that to encourage people, like, what does that look like? How does that work?
Right.
So that's where I'm literally at right now, is trying to figure that out.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. Even with the little following, like myself, I have less than 200 followers. I don't know how many different Instagrams I started, but I have less than 200 followers.
Right now, you're going to follow him.
Okay. And, you know, a couple of people, not including my mom, has told me, you know, your videos has really inspired me. And I think that's my goal. At least if one person can look at my content and say, and can relate to it and inspire them to maybe keep going or start making their own content. And that's, I think the whole goal is, how can you be relatable to people? And if you're yourself, being yourself, and your people will find you. What do you think are your daily habits that contribute to your success?
That's a great question. One daily habit that I go in and out of doing, but it's one thing that I learned at some point and I try to do it every single day, is that the moment I wake up, I smile.
I love
because just to start your day with a smile, right? And it can be as simple as that. If I'm present enough, right, I'll start to be in gratitude and just wake up being thankful. I have a roof over my head. I've got flowing water. I've got a beautiful cat. Like, there's, you know, just thinking of things that can make you smile, right? But just whether you feel like it or not, Just
Mm.
opening your eyes or keeping your eye, whatever, just waking up to your existence and putting that smile on your face. I think that that's something that has really helped me just start every day well, and to think of great things I'm grateful for, and to have open the day with a heart of gratitude and thankfulness. And another thing, I think it can be different for all sorts of people. For me, one thing is being in nature.
Mm.
Just every time I am overstressed, overworked, and this is all stuff I do to myself, right? Because at this point I'm making my own schedule, and being someone who's so passionate and so dedicated, I have a hard time breaking away. So in order to try to find that balance and try to make sure that I'm taking care of myself, I have to spend time in nature outside. And it's another one of those like simple habits is if I'm noticing throughout the day that I'm getting stressed or I'm starting to just get into a bad mood, just going to walk around the block.
Mm.
Just something to break yourself away from the setting that you're in, come back into your body, into yourself, right?
Right.
Those I want to practice more things. There are many. I just started doing this breath work with this money course full of women that I'm taking, and there are so many different practices and different things that you can do, but the smiling when I wake up and the knowing that I have to get outside into nature, those are just two core things that I don't stray from. Like I have to do those things to maintain my sanity. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to go back on being grateful, what I've read and been listening to is if you're in that mindset of being grateful, more things will come into your life to be grateful of. And if you really think about it, if we talk about the kings and queens back in the 1800s, 1700s, we have it better than they did because they didn't have running water, they didn't have hot water, they didn't have air condition. So we have plenty to be grateful for, and I love that you have that type of mindset.
I've never thought of it that way. That's another another bing. Oh, grateful for that too.
Right. Well, SJ, Positivity Princess, thank you so much for being here, and we got to know a lot more about you, and it's very inspiring.
Thank you. I hope to inspire many more, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Well, that's it for today's episode of the Creators Network. Thanks for listening, and a big thank you to our guest, SJ, for sharing her story and her insights. If you enjoyed this conversation, make sure to subscribe, share the episode with someone who might find it valuable, and leave a review. I'm Pablo, and this has been the Creators Network. We'll see you in the next episode.